My final move thing. It's not a movie. I watched Netflix's / YouTube Reds Cobra Kai.
Who is it?
Banzai! Daniel LaRusso here for LaRusso Auto. We are chopping prices on all of our inventory. Johnny? I knew it was you. This is Johnny Lawrence. He and I go way back.
Oh, this is a guy who's ass you kicked.
If you want to get technical, I kicked his face.
And Jordan, the show's really good. Like it's as good as nothing. Hype always makes me go, there's no way this is as good as people say it is, and it really truly is as good as people say it is. The most remarkable bit for me is that it started off as a YouTube Red show, because that first season it's really quite good. So for the 5 of you who don't know what Cobra Kai is, it's a sequel show to The Karate Kid, which takes place 25 years or something later. Johnny Lawrence he's an adult now. He's still bitter and angry about how Daniel LaRusso kicked him in his face, and he decides to open up Cobra Kai, and the show is about the consequences of that, and him and Daniel LaRusso reestablishing a relationship, and it's one of the most narratively satisfying shows I have ever watched, because it's one of those, you obviously know the kid's gonna do the kick or the kid's gonna punch the thing, but when they finally do punch the thing, it's really satisfying, just emotionally. And it does this really phenomenal job of it's sort of exploring that not every person is the same person they were 25 years ago. Time and memory and perspective change things, and not everyone is all inherently good, and not everyone is all inherently evil. So I enjoy the fact that Johnny, as the show progresses, he evolves as a character, and he realizes that Cobra Kai very basically makes people assholes. So all of the people who join Cobra Kai and follow the strike first, strike hard, strike no mercy attitude, they all become massive assholes. And the show is kind of about each of these characters realizing that, and all of them becoming bullies. But it also makes the point that Miyagi-Do, which is the Mr. Miyagi karate, it's not all good either, in that it's all defense. So you have to wait for someone to attack you. You can't be proactive. So Cobra Kai, or at least Johnny Lawrence's version of it, there's not inherent bad things. And so initially the show is very much it's Cobra Kai versus the Miyagis. The Johnny Lawrence has an estranged son, because of course he's a deadbeat dad. He's a bad guy from an 80s movie. It just makes sense. And the main thing is he becomes friends with a kid called Miguel, and he's the kid that kind of inspires the creating Cobra Kai as a means to train him to prevent him from being bullied. And Miguel is kind of very similar to Daniel LaRusso in the original movie. So the show kind of in its early seasons becomes Johnny Lawrence is training Daniel LaRusso, and Daniel LaRusso is training Johnny Lawrence, and they're becoming close. And it does a really phenomenal job of taking over the course of the series. They bring back multiple characters from the movies. So they eventually at a point they bring back the bad guy from the second movie. Oh, just real quick aside. A thing I learned this week is Okinawa. I always thought Okinawa was part of Japan, and it kind of is. There's a term for it. I'm just going to Google it what it is, but it's not
a border town.
No, it's not quite a country, but it's Japan, but it's not Japan. It's its own distinct territory.
So kind of like how Hong Kong not Hong Kong. The one that China always wants.
Yeah, Taiwan, I think.
Taiwan is it like is both is and isn't like and they would get very upset if anybody said that they're part of China, but weren't they like at one point part of China, but they're technically not China?
I think so. Well, it's called a.
Don't come at me in the comics. I'm uneducated.
I tried to Google what this is, and it says it's different depending on the country. But it says Okinawa is a Japanese prefecture comprising of more than 150 islands in the East China Sea between Taiwan and Japan's mainland. So it's like it's its own territory. So it's part of Japan, but it's not Japan. So it's kind of a country, but not really a country. That's why in that first Karate Kid movie, Mr. Miyagi is like it's Japan, and then Okinawa is here. So it's yeah. I didn't know that. That was the thing I learned. So eventually in a later season, he goes to Okinawa to or Johnny LaRusso or Daniel LaRusso goes to Okinawa to visit, and that's basically the episode where like, oh, here's all the shit from the second movie, because that's what the second movie is about. Is he goes to Okinawa and visits and meets all of.
I don't think I've ever seen the second.
No, neither have I. That became apparent as I watched this show. But he runs into the bad guy from the second movie, who is also a student of Miyagi-Do, and he's the entire episode he's acting like he's mean and a jerk, and he takes Daniel LaRusso into the woods, and he teaches him this alternate version of Miyagi-Do, which is basically like a proactive, aggressive version, which allows him to like tap pressure points and disable his opponents. And he hits him with all these moves, and he's about to like karate chop him in the face, and then he honks his nose. And he's like, I got you. You believe me so much. I had you right in the palm of my hand. And they end up becoming friends. And the guy reveals that like, yeah, after Daniel LaRusso beat him in this match or whatever, he went on to have great shame and rediscover himself, and now he's a good guy, and they become friends. And that's what's kind of cool about this show. It's each of these, the relationships evolve, and as much as like Daniel is like, you see two perspectives. So whenever you see it from Daniel's perspective, he's just a nice guy who he's a car salesman, which I didn't get at first, but then I realized that's because Mr. Miyagi gives him the car in the movie.
Wax on, wax off.
Right. And so he tends to assume the worst in people. So there's a bit later on where he goes.
Is this car wash called Wax On, Wax Off Car Emporium? Because if not, that's a missed opportunity.
But his whole bit is he chops the competition. But yeah, so when he goes and he visits one of the guys he fought, and one of the bad guys from the previous movie, he goes to attack him, and the guy's like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, man, I felt so bad for that, and I went off and I had to re-examine my life. And yeah, even John Kreese, like early on, he's the bad guy from the Karate Kid movies, and they do a good job of bringing him back and making him suitably evil and intimidating. And he's training the kids to be assholes, to do the true Cobra Kai way, no mercy. And they eventually give him like a tragic backstory or whatever. And like, yeah, later on in the season, they're giving him stuff where he's getting nice, tight, emotional stuff. And like I say, it is easily like, yeah, it really plays into your emotions. There's a number of times where I was like, oh my god, this is like getting me, because like these two characters have been at each other's throats for like 10 episodes, and now they're like hugging it out, and you're like, oh my god, like that this earns it narratively. Like, again, most narratively satisfying show I've ever watched, where it's like, yeah, you know this is gonna happen, you know these two characters are gonna become friends, but like when it happens, you're like, oh, this is getting me a little bit. Like, I'm getting a little misty here. And it does again really good job of taking these characters, bring back the actors who played these characters. Eventually in the later seasons, they bring back the bad guy from Karate Kid 3, and he's now the main bad guy of the season. And like, yeah, he is sufficiently, he's a different kind of bad guy, whereas Kreese is more aggressive and angry and in your face. Silver is a bit more conniving and a bit smart. He tricks Daniel's wife into getting mad at him. Yeah, and it's just a really well acted, well performed William Zabka, like he, for a guy who played like a one-off character villain from a 1980s like karate movie, is like giving it his all. It's well choreographed. Most of the fights look good. The only fight that doesn't look good, any of the stuff involving Kreese kind of made me go where I'm like I didn't think Kreese really needed a tragic backstory, but it ends up paying off. Like that's the thing, is like it ends up paying off in like a beautifully, I don't know the actor who plays Kreese, but there's a beautifully acted scene. There's a really cool scene later on where he's hallucinating all of the people who have affected him in his life, and it's really well performed. Again, the stuff with Silver is really well done. Chosen is like so good. It's like, yeah, these were like just one-off, like, you know, they're bad guys from like some 80s movie, and here they are getting full satisfying character arcs. Johnny, as he goes on, he eventually develops a relationship with the kid he's mentoring's mother, and he kind of really he starts to embrace.
He develops a connection with her.
No, yeah, they wind up together, like they're full bore couple. She at the point I'm at, because I didn't get to finish the whole series. I'm still in season 6, but in season 6 they haven't gotten married, but she's having his kid, and he's reconciled.
She is.
He's reconciled with the son, and he's rebuilt his life. And him and, like I say, the third season, it kind of they get taken down. Kreese steals the dojo from Johnny, and it seems like everything is down, and you know it's building towards Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso are gonna finally team up. And when they do team up, it's so fucking satisfying. You're like, oh my god, this is like 25 years in the making. Like when they finally shake it out and admit that they're friends. And there's a point later on where he shows up and Daniel says something, and he starts to get all offended and act like regular Johnny Lawrence, and Daniel LaRusso starts to get like defensive. He's like, "Nah, I'm just fucking with you." Basically, like, I'm just screwing with you. And they have a real that's kind of how you saw basically what they're like at the end of the new Karate Kid movie. That's what they're like by the end of the show. Like they have a really
whoa spoilers.
They have a really fun relationship. That's really fun and really fun. All of them do, and yeah, it's about like discovering that people can change and people can grow and people can evolve, and you're not your worst moment in your life. You are more than the worst moment in your life, and it's really effective. It's funny because I was telling you about there's a character I can't fucking stand, and that's Stingray. Stingray, for most of it, is just, he's awful. He's an adult character. Basically, he's a character that Johnny meets early on. He works at like a Rona, and he shows up at the dojo looking to be trained, and Johnny's like, I only train.
Yeah, he's Dwight Schrute from The Office, who goes to the dojo and trains under the adult with all the rest of the children, and is a weirdo. Yeah,
so he could beat up kids. Yeah, it's super fucking weird, and like he hangs out with them for most of, I think it's season 1 and 2. And he's just around, and it's super creepy because he's an adult. He's a grown adult. It's really weird. There's a moment later on, and none of the kids seem to find it weird, which makes it more weird. But there's a bit, I can't remember what season it's in, where he shows up.
No, Justin, kids are stupid. It's not weird that kids wouldn't find it weird. It's weird that the adults around the kids don't find it weird.
I mean, Johnny's just taking his money. But, there's a point where he shows up and he's now changed. He's developed, because the whole bit is when these people join Karate Kid, the whole mantra is don't be a pussy. And so all of the kids develop these aggro personalities. Like the one guy who his name is Eli Moskowitz, and he's like this real nerd.
Eli. Oh, Eli.
Eli Moskowitz.
I thought you said Eli Moskowitz. So I was like, Elon Musk. He
like gets a mohawk and a back tattoo, and he develops this persona called Hawk, and he just becomes this psychopath who at one point he breaks one of his friend's arms, and one of the other characters' name is Dimitri, and he's just this, like, he complains about everything. Like, he tries to go to Cobra Kai and he just doesn't blend in because he's like, he just complains about everything, and everything is difficult. And so eventually he gets beaten up by Hawk, and he goes to Miyagi-Do, and he's not succeeding. Like Daniel tries to impart the funniest bit is when he's teaching what's his face, Johnny's son, how to do Miyagi-Do, and he's doing the whole wax on wax off paint the fence shit. But he's working at the at Daniel LaRusso's auto dealership, so he's gotten him doing different variations on it, but it's basically still the same, him doing chores. And it gets to the point where Robby, he's like, this is stupid, I'm tired of doing your chores, after he's waxed all the cars. And then he does the whole, show me jacket on, jacket off, or in this case, show me, sweep the floor, show me. And then and so there's a part later on.
Who exists? Karate exists in everything you do.
And so there's a bit later on where they're combining dojos, and they're doing wax on, wax off on Johnny's minivan, and Johnny's got his side of the dojo in the back seat, just cleaning his car, not even really doing anything productive, just cleaning the back seat of his disgusting car. He's like, and if you find any change, you can give that over to me. But yeah, Dimitri, he sucks. He's annoying. He's obnoxious. He complains about everything, and I hated him for the longest time. So when he finally wheels around and kicks Hawk, blocks his attacks, and wheels around and kicks him into a case, it's really satisfying, because you're like, oh my god, Dimitri, yes! Like, you've worked at this for so long, like, oh my god, this is so satisfying that he's finally able to do this. And it's just, every time they finally get to a moment where it's like, something satisfying happens, it's really extra satisfying, because they've really been working at it. It's really cool. Trying to think, was there anything else? Oh, Stingray. So Stingray, he at one point in the early seasons, he shows up at their party, and is like, he's with a girl. He's got a girl on. He eventually develops his Cobra Kai persona, which is Stingray, and he shows up at the kid's party with a girl on his arm, and the girl's like, I thought you said we were gonna go party with your friends. And he's like, these are my friends, and they're all kids, and it's weird. And he's drinking with them, and then at a point, obviously it's a teenage party in an 80s style show. The cops show up, and he gets stuck. It's like, dude, you need to get the fuck out of here. Like, if they get busted, it's bad. If you get busted, it's a felony. Like, you're partying with minors. You're providing alcohol. Like, it doesn't matter if you're not the one who provided alcohol to minors. If you're there and there's alcohol in minors, you'll get charged with providing alcohol to minors. That is a felony. You need to get out of here. What are you doing? And run. Every one of these seasons, always inevitably, the final episode devolves to a big fight amongst all the characters, and the fights always look good. Like, they're always well choreographed. But so towards the end of, I think it's season 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's season 2. Stingray gets a job at the school as a security guard, and so this big fight breaks out amongst Cobra Kai and the Miyagi-Do, and he jumps in and starts beating up the students. And so then the season ends with him getting arrested, and they make sure to mention the fact that he gets arrested, and then he's gone for a season. And I'm like, oh, thank God, Stingray's the fucking worst. And then a season goes by, and he comes back, and he's now gotten out of jail, and he's living with his sister, and his neighbor calls him a fucking loser because he is a loser. He's like, dude, you're a loser who hangs out with kids, who got arrested for beating up kids, and lives on your sister's couch. And he goes back to Cobra Kai, now run by John Kreese and Silver, the bad guy, the main evil sensei from the first movie and the bad guy from the third movie. They're now running Cobra Kai. And John Kreese is like, what are you doing here? Like, we teach kids, get out of here, basically. You have no place. You're pathetic and a loser, and you never belonged here. Get out of here. And he winds up at one of their parties again, hanging out with them, and all the kids are like cheering for him because he beats up somebody. Oh, he beats up the neighbor who's been calling him a loser, and all the kids love him. And so he goes back to Cobra Kai and is like, you should let me back into Cobra Kai because all the kids love me. And then Silver beats the shit out of him, nearly kills him, and then convinces him to say it was John Kreese. So the big twist is John Kreese goes to jail. And I'm like, he comes back, and they try to go to him to get him to say that he lied. And that's when I came out to you, and I was like, I fucking hate him, and I told you about how I hated him. And then I went back and I watched 3 more episodes, and then at the end of that 3rd episode, he has this really long emotional monologue that is beautifully performed and well acted and well done, where he's telling the story of what happened, basically, through, like, he's got a D&D campaign that he's built. That's the true story of what happened. So he tells what happens through the campaign, and he goes on to say how, like, he was afraid of, you know, being killed or whatever, and how he wanted to be brave like the rest of them. And it's well performed and well written, and I was like, God damn it, Straight Stingray! How dare you make me like you? How dare you? How, quite frankly, dare you? And then, yeah, he shows up later on, and he's like, okay, he's actually kind of cool, and he has a really cool monologue where he talks about how he goes to sense to the Johnny Lawrence, and he's like, you made me think I mattered. Like, I know what I was doing was ridiculous, but that didn't matter. You made me confident. You made me feel like I was a decent person for, like, a little bit. And, yeah, it's really nice. And I would like to come back to this before we jump into our Karate Kid review. Yeah, again, just to summate, it is a very satisfying show, and I was constantly impressed and constantly blown away by how much depth and care and heart, and how, like, it expanded these characters and, like, resolved them in ways that were interesting. Like, almost every major character aside from Pat Morita, and if Pat Morita were alive, I have no doubt he would have done this show, come back and wind up with a meaningful story arc, while also managing to balance the storyline with the kids, who I haven't even mentioned all of the kids. Like, you've got Daniel LaRusso's kids, who are both have their own storylines, who are all interesting in their own right. Like, they are all great characters, and it balances them as well as balancing the adult characters, again, in a way that is very well done. And I would like to come back to this because I'd like to finish it. So we are going to do Kung Fu Part 3, and Jordan's going to watch Cobra Kai.
I will certainly try.
He's gonna watch. He's gonna try to get through as much of it as I did, and then I'll finish it, and then we'll talk about it as a whole. And then, hey there, everybody! It's Endcard Justin here. Let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Cobra Kai? What did you think? Did you find it as narratively satisfying as I did? Did you like it? It's a great show. I don't know how you couldn't like it. But let me know down in the comments what you think about Cobra Kai. And in the meantime, if you would like to see the full podcast that this video is from, you can click the box on the left. That's going to take you to our 2nd Kung Fu episode, Kung Fu Part 2, where we talked about Jackie Chan and Karate Kid and all kinds of different Kung Fu kind of movies. You can check that out in the bottom. Or you click the box on the right, that's going to take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Hit subscribe if you would. We put out videos every single day of the week. And leave us a like, please. It really helps out the videos. I'm totally nailing the end card. We'll see you next time, everybody.